Okay, today we're going to talk about linear inequalities. And a linear inequality is similar to a linear equation, but instead of having an equal to sign in the form of y equals mx plus b, we have a less than or greater than or a less than or equal to or greater than or equal to sign. And a linear inequality is a region of the coordinate plane that has a boundary. And that boundary can be one of two things. It can be a dashed line if the inequality symbol is less than or greater than, and it can be a solid line if the inequality symbol is a less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. And the solution to the inequality is the coordinates of the points that make the inequality true. So let's go ahead and get started by graphing this inequality right here, which is y is less than 2x plus 3. So we're going to graph that just like we would graph a linear equation. Use the slope of 2 and the y-intercept of 3 to graph the equation. The only difference between the inequality, and the equation is what the line looks like. So we're going to graph the y-intercept at positive 3, and we're going to use the slope to find more points. So the slope is 2, so it's up 2 and over 1. Up 2 and over 1. We can also go in the opposite direction, down 2 and to the left 1. So here's where it gets a little different. The inequality symbol for this inequality is less than. So instead of drawing a solid line, we're just going to draw a dashed line. And that's going to be our boundary line. So I want to know all the points in this coordinate plane where y is less than 2x plus 3. So if we look over here, for an inequality in the form where y is less than, we're going to shade below the boundary line. If the inequality is the form y greater than, we're going to shade above the boundary line. So that is what we're going to do. So this one is less than, so that means a dashed line, and we're going to shade below. So all of our shading is going to be below this line. All of our shading is going to be below this line. So all of this blue shaded area are solutions to that inequality. So how can we check to see if we did it right? Well, I'm going to pick a point that's in the shaded area, and for mine, I'm going to pick this point right here, 0, 0, and I'm going to plug it into the equation. So I'm going to pick the ordered pair 0, 0, so that means x equals 0 and y equals 0. And if I plug it into y is less than 2x plus 3, and I get a true statement, then I know I shaded in the right area. So I'm going to plug in 0 for y and 0 for x, and what I get left with is 0 is less than 3. And that's true, so that means I shaded correctly. So let's go back and take a look. The less than or equal to sign means that, the less than sign means that it's a dashed line, and we're going to shade below. We graph it exactly like we would graph the equation y equals 2x plus 3. What happens if the inequality is not in the form of y equals mx plus b? Well, then that's where we have to solve for y. We did this in the beginning of this unit. We've done it in the last unit. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to solve this equation for y. We're going to start by subtracting 3x from each side. That's going to give us negative 5y is less than or equal to 10 minus 3x. Divide by a negative 5. We're dividing everything by a negative 5. This is going to cancel, and we're going to get left with y. And because we're dividing by a negative right here, this is going to flip my inequality sign from a less than or equal to a greater than or equal to. 10 divided by negative 5 is negative 2, and then a negative 3 divided by a negative 5 is going to give us a positive 3/5, and that's our slope, a positive 3/5 or x in x. So here's our inequality. It's got an equal to sign, so that means our boundary line is going to be solid. It's greater than, so that means we're going to shade above the line. We're going to do the same thing that we did in the previous example, graph using the y-intercept, and in this case our y-intercept is -2. It's a positive slope. The rise is 3 and the run is 5. And we can only get a few points up here, and we can also go backwards. We can go down 3 and to the left 5. I think that's 4. Nope, that's 5. Since it is greater than or equal to, that means we are going to have a solid line as our boundary line. And it's greater than, that means we are going to shade above the boundary line. And again, we can always check to see if we did that correctly, and that's what we're going to do. So everything above, and including, because it's greater than or equal to, above this boundary line. So again, I want to check to make sure I graphed correctly. So I'm going to pick a point in the shaded area. My favorite one to pick is 0, 0. So that's what I'm going to do, is pick the point 0, 0. There we go. And I'm going to check with the point 0, 0. So, and I'm going to check it in the original equation. So I'm going to plug in 0 for x, and I'm going to plug in 0 for y, and see if I get a number that is less than or equal to 10. And I get 0 minus 0 is less than or equal to 10. 0 is less than or equal to 10. That works, so that means I shaded correctly. If it didn't work, then I would have to go back and reshade my inequality. So again, it is a less than or equal to sign. A greater than or equal to sign. So that means it's going to be solid because it has the equal to, and we're going to shade it above. So now we're going to take a look at a real world problem, solving on a budget. Suppose you budget for a party that allows you to spend no more than $12 on peanuts and cashews. Peanuts cost $2 a pound and cashews cost $4 a pound. Find 3 possible combinations of peanuts and cashews that you can buy. Okay, so we're going to look at some key words in here. No more than. That equality means that I can spend $12, I can spend $11. So my inequality symbol means it's going to be less than or equal to, I can't spend more than $12. I can spend 12, but I can't spend more than that. Now we have to come up with our x and y. Peanuts cost $2 a pound, so I'm going to let x equals peanuts at $2 a pound. And cashews cost $4 a pound, so that's going to be my y plus 4y. So now we have to graph this, and we have 2 options. We can change it to y equals, or we can graph it using the x and the y intercepts. I'm going to use the x and y intercepts because for me it's just easier, but we need to find them first, and I'm going to do that down here. So for the x intercept, we have to let y equal 0, and for the y-intercept, we have to let x equal 0. So if I'm going to let y equal 0, 2x plus 4 times 0 is less than or equal to 12. That gives me 2x is less than or equal to 12, so x is less than or equal to 6. So my x-intercept is at 6, 0. I'm going to do the same thing for the y-intercept. This time I'm going to let x equal 0. 2 times 0 plus 4y is less than or equal to 12. We get 4y is less than or equal to 12, and so my y-intercept is going to be 3. So my x-intercept is 6, 0, and my y-intercept is 0, 3. So I'm going to start graphing using my x and y intercepts. I'm only going to graph in this coordinate plane right here, or quadrant 1, because we can't have negative amounts of peanuts and negative amounts of cashews, so that's the area I'm going to graph in. So I'm going to start with my x and my y intercepts. my x-intercept was 6, 0, which is right here, and my y-intercept was 0, 3, which is right here. So now I need to determine, am I going to have a solid or a dotted line? Am I going to shade above or below? So if I look at my inequality symbol right here, has an equal to sign, so that means my boundary line is going to be solid, and it's less than, so that means I'm going to shade below the line. So here's my boundary line. Again, I just need to stay into quadrant 1, and I'm going to shade everything below that line because it's less than or equal to. So I'm going to shade everything in here. Okay, so now we have our graph. We have to go back and answer the question. And the question was, find 3 possible combinations of peanuts and cashews that you can buy. So if my x-axis is my peanuts and my y-axis is my cashews, I'm just looking for points in there that will satisfy the equation. So that's what I'm looking for. So I know if I buy 0 peanuts, that means I have to buy, right here, I have to buy 3 pounds of cashews. If I buy 0 cashews, I have to buy 6 pounds of peanuts. Those are my x and y intercepts, and then I can pick any other point in here. I can pick the point 2 and 1. So if I buy 2 pounds of peanuts, I can buy 1 pound of cashews. Is that still going to keep me less than $12? It is. I can just plug them in and figure that out. So if I use the equation, if I put in 2 for x and 1 for y, is that going to give me less than $12? Well, I get 4 plus 4. Is 4 plus 4 less than 12? It is. So I'm just looking for combinations that will keep my total amount of dollars under 12. Okay, now it's your turn to answer the video questions. Multiple choice question number 1, match the graph to the correct inequality. Look at the boundary line. Is it solid or dotted? What does that mean for our inequality symbol? And look at where it is shaded. Is it above the line or below the line? And what does our inequality symbol tell us about the shading? And then question number 2, you're shopping for crepe paper to decorate the school gym. You're buying gold and blue. Your budget allows you to spend at most $48. Very similar to our peanuts and cashews problem. So when you write your answer for this one, you need to write it as a linear inequality. Okay, thank you. Have a good night.